Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Thailand Super Series. We are here with our Toyota Gazoo Racing 86 Malaysia Series Cup, and it's also the Thai Cup as well. So we've got both of the series combining 29 cars out there on what is a beautiful day here at Sepang, in just a 5.5 kilometre circuit, 15 corners at this former Formula One track, and longest straight will be 927 metres. And you can see there's two straights backing onto each other. That'll be the prime overtaking opportunities down towards the final and the first corners. My name's Joseph Black. I will be taking you through all of the action in the next 30 minutes plus one lap, and I'll be alongside Stephen Koenig for the ride. Stephen, it's looking like a good day out there for some racing.
It's going to be a brilliant day, and especially after race one yesterday, it was a bit of an interesting one. The 66 of Bkk.Lt found out that he outbraked himself and smashed out the front left of his car, but it was the 44B of Harris Jeffrey who took the victory in race one.
Morning.
Looking to get a solid run here in race two to make sure that he can try and clinch a few points in the championship. But 29 cars around Sepang. It is going to be a close, fierce run, and each of the drivers all looking to try and make their mark in the championship.
They certainly are. They're going to be looking to make their way, and of course this is going to be early stages in the fight of this morning, and early stages for these drivers to get ready to duke it out, and we will be seeing just that in not too long of a time now. Zafan Ramnani now, we are going to be seeing him taking to the track. Of course, a lot of the teams with multiple drivers having a look at the action. A lot of the teams, this is the Artivo Motorsport Toyota out there. Of course, all of the Toyotas are going to be duking it out pretty similar, because they're of course equal machinery. So these drivers ready to go, and the grid just bustling at the moment on what is a very good Sunday morning, ready to get the action underway and go racing. Sepang is going to be a really interesting track, I think, for these drivers to contend with. I mentioned the final and the first corner as good overtaking spots, but where else can you see them trying to make a pass?
Well, it's going to be down the big straightaways. It's going to be the main thing. These cars being evenly matched, and also straight out the factory being at factory spec, they'll have to go and utilize slipstream. Now, going back on yesterday, it was a big factor towards the end of the race of who was at the front of the queue and who was at the back of the queue. That ultimately went and changed up how everyone was able to move forward. Plus, we also saw the likes of Harris Jeffries go and utilize the slipstream, diving into turn one to really benefit and stretch open the gap. However, I do want to add to the fact that our drivers out there now have shown their hand in race one, and every single one of them have been trying to figure out what is going to be the best way to move forward in this 30-minute race plus one, just to ensure that they can stay in for the fight, and they've also planned out who they can work with in the pits.
That's why it'll be interesting to see them contend with each other, because of course they all know this circuit pretty well by now, having raced it yesterday. But because of the fact that we've combined the Thai and the Malaysian series, you'd expect that the Malay drivers are going to know this circuit just that little bit more. Is that going to give them a lasting advantage?
Well, as far as that I've seen, it's been pretty equal footing. Once the Thai drivers figured out how they could go and where to actually go onto the attack, they found themselves really pushing the boundaries of what they can do, especially coming out of turn two into turn three. There was a lot of trying to pull each other along, and also it did seem like for the Taiwanese drivers, they were more than happy to go a little bit later onto the brakes just to try and sink in. So it's going to be an interesting run. I don't think home turf is going to make too much of a difference, as these cars are really evenly matched, and most of the drivers are more than happy to take every risk possible. We saw a four-wide situation at the start of race one, and some of the scarring on these cars, like on Ayrton Mohammed Azim's car on that front right, pretty much tells the story. If you're not going door to door, you're not going to be risking it, and you'll find yourself at the pack. It doesn't matter if you're Taiwanese or Malaysian, it's all about getting to the sharp end of the field.
It certainly is. These drivers will be taking those risks, and that's exactly what you want to see in racing, because fundamentally that's what racing is. The more risks you can take, the more rewards you'll get out of it. Of course, sometimes it'll go wrong, but hey, as we mentioned, that is going to be racing, and that is going to be what these drivers will be weighing up as they head through. Championship leader in the Thai series is going to be Vongsarat Katsiri in the 33. We saw him just a couple of moments ago getting ready to get racing, and there's going to be a few, well, of course, all of these 29 drivers are going to be getting racing, including one who incredibly repaired after yesterday when he had quite a heavy shunt.
Yep, going and ripping off the front left and landed up with that car stranded on the side of the road. Brought out the safety car. It was the 66 of Banford Yorktrail in the next MK Sports U Forest Montreal car. Part of the Legends Cup in the category. Unfortunately, did find himself parked off, waiting to get sorted out. But if the team managed to get that 66 up and going, got to give it up to the drivers, got to give it up to the team to get him back out on circuit and go carry on fighting out for the Legends Cup Championship. This is going to be a manic run down to the line, and I've got a funny feeling everyone's going to be looking to move forward, and who is going to have a ton of fun out here.
Oh, we're certainly going to have a ton of fun in the commentary box here for the Sepang International Circuit here in Malaysia, and well, a circuit that now Formula One is visiting later this year as part of their race for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So that'll be an interesting one to contend with. But of course, the main event for this year will be the Thailand Super Series, and it will be the Toyota 86s, and they're just starting to clear the grid now to have a look at just getting themselves underway. You can see that the people dissipating off to the left-hand side of your screens and the right-hand side of your circuits. They're going to be forming themselves up to watch these drivers take to the track for race 2 of the weekend, round 4 of the season in both of the classes. And yeah, we're going to be getting the action underway very, very shortly indeed. This is going to be lots of fun. You say the run is going to be great. I absolutely agree with you, not just down to turn 1, but throughout the course of the race.
Going to be an interesting one also for the drivers that are sharing cars to just try and figure out on pure strategy, what are they going to do to move on forward. Now, Sepang is a very interesting circuit because your pit lane is coming into turn 15. You're going to be coming at quite a bit of pace before moving over into the pit lane and a single line all the way through. And we've seen a couple of drivers taking near moments just to go too wide, heading into pit lane in the GT3s. Now, let's see what's going to happen when we come into the Toyota 86s. But it's all clearing out at the front, and it's going to be up to Carl Bennett to lead out the pack behind the safety car in the number 9. He's going to be chased down by the team of Aaron Hakel and Zefran Ramdani, who goes to fight it out. And the two will be going and keeping a solid eye on the rest of the field, trying to get a solid run and hopefully going to have a clean run into turn 1 all the way to turn 3, and that's where we actually landed up seeing that 66 landing up into a world of hurt and a little bit damaged. So with the safety car ready and our marshal's going and saying it's all clear, it's the final words being spoken to the team, and we'll be saying, right, get ready to rock and roll. We're going to have a bit of fun here in the Toyota 86s. The 86 challenge at Sepang for race 2, well, it's all about maximizing the points. And I've got to say, Joseph, this is going to be entertaining. You put the same engines, the same machinery, the same entirety of a car with each of these drivers. Only one can come out on top, and that's going to have to be based on pure driving skill.
Certainly will. It's a great equaliser, isn't it? Racing with these equal cars, and it means that the best drivers are going to be the ones to take us to the flag. Having a look at our starting grid then for today's race, the number 1 being held up, that's going to be for that car of Carl Bennett in the number 9 AF Racing Auto Works outfit. Alongside him on the front row will be the split entry of Aaron Halkel and Zarfan even Ramadi, if I can get my words out, on what is a very early morning in the UK, in the Artivo Motorsport 10. Then the second row of the grid will be Adi Rahimi Rashid and Saeed Adam Azri, and the Mushtari SMRT 46 with Vongsarat Katsiri in the Mitsu Racing Team Thailand by AP33. That's our front two rows off the grid. We will get ourselves to a rolling start. Yesterday, the drivers went 6 wide into the first corner, so I may as well get through the third row of the grid as well, and that will be Amat, Harris, Jeffrey and Aslan Shah. Not quite sure who's taken to the green flag in the split entries, but that will be the 44 car, which I'm definitely not going to trip over at some point today. Then Atapon Kawasa in the B-Quik Racing 26 will be in that 6th spot, and the 95 Tom's Racing TH, the 8 Ailzo Motorsports, and then the WB Racing 50 and the Singer Cosmo 24A. They're going to round out the top 10, and that will be rounding out the top third of the field. It's always great to see the drivers competing out there in such a large grid, because anything can really happen. It feels like the more drivers that come into a series, the more that the drivers at the bottom have an opportunity, and this is going to be your grid. We're going to run you through it quickly. Carl Bennett on the front row of the grid. He is on pole alongside Zarfan Ramadi, and then 3rd and 4th as well, as we just mentioned. Aslan Shah and Atapon Kasa with Ra Takon and Ayrton Mohammed Azim on the 7th and 8th spots on the grid. And then to round out the top 10 in this field, it is going to be heading down to Adel Lu and Tamrong Mahadumrongkul. They will be rounding out the top 10. In 11th place will be Go Li Heng even in the 86 Tedco Racing, the 86 in the Toyota 86 series. They'll be alongside Chang Chu Ming and the 99 RT Racing car in 12th place. Prutarat Ratanikul Serireongrit and Eng Kim Ngi will be alongside each other, 13th and 14th. That's the 44A, and well, alongside them, they will just be continuing through the order. This is going to be rounding out our grid, of course, as I mentioned, 29 cars. I think it's 27 taking to the green flag for the racing action here on Sunday, and it'll be Pancho Welprip on the B-Quik Racing 25A to round out the order. It looks like the 66 may well be back out there at the back of the field. Banfot Uertrekul, of course, the incident yesterday, that will be the car right out in 26th place alongside actually Pancha, or just ahead of Pancha, because Pancha will be by himself on the 14th row of this grid. It's going to be hard to look past the drivers at the very top of the field. My money is going to be on Bongsapak Katsiri to fight it out for this race victory. What do you reckon, Steve?
I'm not going to take my eyes off the 44 of Mir, Harris, Jeffrey and Aslan. So they landed up going with a solid charge yesterday to move up to the sharp end of the field, taking the overall victory. However, they did have a little bit of a catch when trying to fight their way through. Cole Bennett is incredibly quick and consistent, and he's starting out in the front row. Will have a lot of clear air to work with Aaron Hickel and Zafran Ramdani, who are holding themselves onto that front row. They're going to have a clear run. If they get swallowed up then by the grid, then it's a different story. But I'm not going to take my eyes off the 44B. So far, the team's been very happy. The driver's been very consistent, and they're hoping that they can once again put lightning in the bottle, stand up at the top step of the podium. But it's a lot of hard work to get it done. But with these cars ready to fire up, the drivers generating some heat into the tires by moving left to right, building up the friction, this is going to be an exciting one. And all the drivers looking to make it work here as they go 2 by 2. And a big shout out to our marshals, a thankless job out there to ensure that the clean running of the show keeps going. But man, oh man, I'm excited for this. We saw 6 wide into T1. We saw 3 by 3, well, 3 wide heading into T2, all the way to T4 before anything. And each of these drivers know what they can do and how close they can bring the machinery to one another.
They know exactly what this machinery is capable of, and most importantly, they know what everybody else is able to do in these Toyota 86s. Rounding the final corner will be Carl Bennett, our pole man. Zarfan Ramadi in the 10. Our Tivo Motorsport car will be alongside him as they head down towards the first corner. Then it will, of course, be Rashid and Katsiri on the second row of this grid. We are ready to go racing here in Sepang. The lights are on. The drivers are just rolling up to the grid, and then we will get our action underway very, very shortly indeed. They're just having a look at those lights, slowing themselves down, getting ready to pick up the revs and pick themselves towards turn number 1. And they're going to cross the beam for 30 30 minutes of racing right about now. It's green flag racing here at Sepang. Who's going to take that first spot into turn number 1? It looks as though we're going to be getting all of the drivers at the front to the inside. We saw 6 wide yesterday. Will it be the same thing? I don't think it's going to be quite yet. Into the first corner is going to lead. I think Carl Bennett's going to be overdone by Zafan Ramadi at the top of the order, heading through the S section at the very front of this field. They are going to go 3 wide, and we are going to lose one of the drivers who was at the front. They're going to drop down to third. A bit of grass taken further back as well, so not necessarily an ideal start for some, but for others, it's been a very, very good launch indeed. And who is that that's been able to take that first spot as they head through the first sector? It's still going to be all up for contention.
Well, unfortunately for Carl Bennett, he's now finding himself further, slipping down 6th. We've got a big spin and 1 into the wall. Not exactly how you want your race to go, and a definite bit of damage getting picked up on that left-hand side. One very, very broken Toyota 86 and front suspension completely out of luck. And that's upon going and unfortunately finding himself out of contention. But as the drivers carry on, they're going to keep battling through as it's still green flag racing. Everyone looking to try and move up through the order. But it's going to be a solid run for Cole, who finds himself down into 6th position and immediately being attacked yet again. Our leader going into this race, now finding that he's falling way down from where he wanted to be.
Yeah, not a very good start indeed, and they're going to try to pick themselves up. It's definitely a broken steering column for that car, and a big, big shame at the very start of this race for them. We'll continue to watch on with this racing as we end off the first lap, and we'll get a decent idea of how many laps they're going to be able to stick in on this racetrack, because 30 minutes is going to be completely timed, but we'll see how many chances they will get in terms of the laps that they will be completing. Carl Bennett, of course, was our start of the race leader, but was not able to make the most of that one and stay in a place, and there was a massive inside line lunge. That's going to be for the number 11, gaining up 2 places at the very start of this race. So Clayton is going to have a very good start. Clayton John Nelmans, that is, further down the order, and has managed to cross the beam to end off the first lap in 10th place, up from where he started much further down in the order. So a very, very good start indeed. Side by side from our pole sit, or our front row sitter even, of the Mushtari SMRT 46, and who is going to be able to come out on top in that one. We will wait and see. In fact, they were 3rd place on the grid, so not quite on the pole, but yeah, as we cross the beam, there will be quite a few drivers side by side down towards turn 1, flashing of the headlights, hoping that the cars in front will get out of the way, but that's not quite as simple as that. They will try to make their way through, as this car still parked off at the side of the road in the first sector. Out upon Kuasa, who of course started very far up the order. In fact, the 26 starting from 6th place, so not the way he would have wanted, and that is a replay of exactly what happened to him, just sliding off of the circuit to the right-hand side of it, and that was a hefty shunt.
It looked like he was going door to door for a little bit, and unfortunately put a wheel wrong and found himself careening into the side. The B-Quik racing machine, unfortunately, out before he even got going. But the race is still on further down the field. Everyone trying to get a solid drive. Lee Hang managing to move up into 8th position. Will want to continue with that 86 number. But it's a stellar charge for our B-class, with having likes of Aslan Sain holding on for 2nd place. Zalfan Ramadi going and chasing down, looking for any opportunity to move forward. But the drivers are still giving it everything they can, as we got one spinner coming out of the corner. As we are watching the gaggle, unfortunately, a couple of drivers finding out the limits of adhesion on the tyres at the moment, trying to move up through the order, now having to play a little bit of catch-up as well. But Fungsapat currently holds on to the lead of the race and will want to check out from any of the battles as quick as possible.
Yeah, we'll want to do just that, because he knows how crazy it can get out there on the circuit. It's early morning, so grip's going to be low for these drivers as we just get into the day. It's going to be about 9 o'clock here in Malaysia at the moment, so these drivers will just be having a look at trying to pick themselves up and maybe just be a little bit more managed in the early part of this race, just whilst they pick up what that grip is actually going to be like, and that is going to be a spin, and that is going to be a big shame, because I was just talking about that grip and round they are going to go. Is that going to be the 63? Indeed it is. Albert Hunyan Chai down into 20th place, and that is going to be a shame for him. We're going to get a replay here of what happened, and just looked like he went too wide, unsettled himself on the curbing, and by the time he reached the braking zone, it would have been about too late, as well, the beautiful purple machine is going to spin into the gravel, and I think that may well be unsalvageable.
Yeah, unfortunately, you only can just dig yourself deeper into the kitty litter, and the 63 going to be yet another retirement. Now, we're still waiting as we're under green flag racing at the moment. The question is, will it be a safety car to come out? And that's going to then annihilate any gain for Van Sprit, as he will now get closed up. He will have that 10B onto the back of him incredibly quickly. So far, he's leading out the field, having a great time first in class, but if a safety car comes out, he's going to lose all that positioning and will be filtered back into the fight. And something he doesn't want to have with Zafran and the likes of Azan going and closing up at a rate of knock. The team's working out what they can do, trying to get an understanding of what's happening out on circuit, but also keeping a very close eye on strategy calls, because you need to know what you're going to do here at Sepang. It's a difficult circuit at the best of times, and will really cause drivers having to think outside the box.
But Hunyan Chai out of that car now, so he's all okay. We expected him to be all okay because there was no shunt against the wall, but out of the car and out of the race confirmed now, as Carl Bennett, our overall, what was our pole sitter, now currently sits down 5th place, 3rd in that class. So we'll be seeing whether the 9's going to be able to climb his way back up. Wasn't the greatest of starts for him, as he did actually challenge for the lead into turn 1, but from that point onwards he just tightened up the apex too much and made it a bit too difficult for him to make his way through. And so for Carl Bennett at the moment, it's going to be a bit of a shame, but if he's able to climb back up, which he certainly has the opportunity to do, then he will find himself right back into contention. Next up on his hit list is going to be Ratakorn in the 95 right up ahead, and we'll see what they can do as the 24 Tamarong Mahadumronkel is looking like. That may well be at the end of the Singer Cosmo 24 right now. That'd be a shame if it is indeed, although it may well actually. I think it's actually the other 24 out there on the road, and indeed it is. And Anton Tang Nai Nacha is going to be likely out of contention for now, just having a look to see whether he's actually going to be able to get back in there. Of course, going to try to get that car back in by any means necessary, but for now going to be out of contention. Almost 3 wide through to the beautiful final section on this racetrack. Will actually be 3 wide onto the exit of the final corner. Are they going to be able to hold that down to turn 1, as they are just ahead of the 55? That's going to be Pancha Wolprip, Elisa Kungwang, and then Adele Liu in the 50, 15 and 25 in reverse. Who's going to lead down towards that first corner? A couple of the drivers really taking to that inside as they head down towards the first, and well, they are going to sort themselves out into position. Maybe just having a look to the outside of turn 2, but is going to be cut off, and that will be a good move from Pancha Wolprip.
Taking a look at Adele Liu out there in the blue, busy chasing down, trying to move on forward, but also feeling a lot of pressure as Kim Ni going and giving everything possible, trying to look for the outside line. 44, however, into a monster of a fight. And that is Pantarat, who's under attack at the moment, with Gong In Jin holding in for that inside line. Side by side, really trying to cut off the nose as fast as possible. Pantarat not leaving anything out on the table, wanting to keep a stellar drive. So far, trying to move up through the order. 13th overall, 2nd in class, and so far having a stellar race out on the track at the moment. So as we're giving it everything we can at the moment, Pantarat, part of the Legends Cup, lying in for 2nd place, going as fast as possible, hoping to stay at the sharp end of the field, but as as Gong Chun giving everything he can to look for the inside line, trying to get the drive, but just that 97 not having the advantage out of the corners, having to just tuck in right behind the 44A of Petronas as they come by. 20 minutes left in this race, and everyone trying to dig deep, trying to get that little bit of a run and see how far can they keep going. An absolutely monster drive needed for everyone out there just to try and pick up that little bit of time. We will see the return out onto the track for the Anathorn in the 24B, and we saw stopped out in pit lane, thankfully getting the car back out into the circuit and willing to see if they can get it to the end. But the battle for the 44 holds on at the moment. That's Petronas once again deep into the braking zone, trying to get the drive and really trying to get some monster run. As we see Cole Bennett going for the defense, launches up forward, trying to get the run, slows down on the apex, but immediately getting caught out there. It's Ayrton Lowe trying to really keep the pressure on, and Cole Bennett managing to open up the gap. It is going to be a side-by-side as they fight their way through everyone trying to get the run. Ayrton Lowe, unfortunately, under a little bit of strain there as Cole Bennett now goes a little bit wide, trying to sweep across, get as much momentum as possible, leading the 95 to carry on for the attack, and that's Rutherford, who is holding on for that P5 at the moment. So Cole Bennett managed to check out of the fight. Rutherford unfortunately finds himself a little bit further down with Ayrton Lowe trying and hunting down every opportunity at the moment. Also allowed Clayton John Nelmus to come in a little bit closer. The 86 Challenge Race 2 is on a proper charge. Everyone's looking to stay towards the sharp end of the field. Cole Bennett trying to make up for lost time, but it's going to be a tough time for Rutherford, who's not having an easy time there. He's having to fight left, right, and center. And from a single battle against Ayrton Lowe, it's Clayton that's now trying to fight through. Black and white. Diagonal flag coming for exceeding track limits for car 55. And that is not going to be what you want to have if you're Ninji, who is holding on to that 18th position overall.
Yeah, it's not going to be what you're going to want at all at any point in the race, really, if you do pick up a penalty. But, of course, a black and white flag is only going to be a reprimand, so should be able to get away with that. Clayton John Nelmes further down in the order in the 11 at the moment, 4th in class and 7th overall, looking to climb back up. And, of course, there's going to be lots of contention right up the top of the order with how quick these drivers are going to be able to race out there in the Kazoos. And looking down towards turn number 1, they may well be a spot between all three of these drivers. Etta Mohammed Azim as well in the number 8, challenging for it, the leader in class right now in the clubman class, and will be looking to challenge for position right now. They head around the final corner and down towards turn number 1. We've got 17 minutes on the clock still to go, and we've still got plenty of action, especially between these three drivers who are still locked in contention and will be looking to make a move maybe down towards the first corner. Who is going to be able to pick that one up as they head through the S section? It looks pretty clear-cut to me that they have a leader of this pack, and the other two just filtering in behind, trying to spot any opportunity to make an overtake and jump their way through. But so far, just about staying in formation, but any single opportunity they are ready to pounce upon.
Rutherford leading out of the train, trying to keep himself at bay. Clayton and Ayrton going and putting a huge amount of pressure, finding any opportunity. You can see Rutherford having to actually just try and move slightly offline just to try and protect it. But also with Clayton constantly looking for an attack, and you got Ayrton. Where do you go? Both mirrors are getting full as Ayrton takes a dive down the inside. He's hoping to make it work, and it's going to be Clayton hoping to take the dive in through the right-hander. Couldn't quite get it done, and immediately it's going to be Ayrton slotting back in, going side by side and with Clayton as they lean a little bit of pressure on one another. Both drivers making life a little bit more difficult, and that's just going to help Rutherford out just that little bit further as he got some breathing room, but now it all fades away. Clayton and Ayrton now fighting it out. An absolute monster of a battle between the two. Clayton looks around the outside, trying to get the run. He gets into the dirt though, trying to rejoin the circuit. This is going to be a little bit of a way situation. Clayton losing out the drive, but had to close the door on Ayrton. And still a battle. And you've got to say, for Rakathorn, who currently leads out the battle, he's putting up a solid defense, but Clayton in the 11, constantly trying everything. And even when thrown to the dirt, still attempting to move up through the order, not giving up the fight, and willing to still take the fight to the sharp end. Absolutely tremendous stuff from our drivers. And I've got to say, I don't think it's over yet. As Joseph, as we see Clayton now picking, he's going to have the outside line. Rakathorn having to close that door to the outside, a sweep over, but then it's allowing Ayrton to try and come in for a bit of an attack as well. So while the driver's doing everything they can, Clayton around the inside now, trying to get it side by side. They go, charging their way through. Carl Bennett trying to move up on Aslan Seya, who holds on for third place, but it's the battle in fourth, fifth, and sixth position as they come through. Clayton's around the outside, trying to make it work, and losing out a little bit of time there, as we do see the 15 coming out, and that's Alicia, who's having a stellar time, part of the Ladies' Cup. She's holding on for 16th position at the moment. Got NG Kim Ni holding on behind, trying to move up through the order, and it's wonderful to go and see so many different battles out there, and honestly, going to be an incredible drive. And Joseph, I've got to say, if you think about these Toyotas and you think about how much the drivers are putting on the line out here, we've got multiple categories. Everyone wants to win their class, but everyone wants to win overall. What better bragging rights than taking an overall victory? And for our number 15 out there, this year having a stunning race in race 1, and looks like having a stunning race in race 2, but wanting to creep into that top 50.
Yeah, it does want to creep into the top 15 overall. Of course, all these drivers at the moment will be, as you say, challenging it out for each individual position. But at the end of the day, what they really want is an overall victory. You're absolutely right. And looking to the inside is going to be a potential move here on later on in the order. Maybe just sending it too deep into the corner, and the 44 is going to sweep back through. That will be continuing that fight on slightly further up in the order for the battle we were just watching on with. It's going to be Prithvirat Mechanical, Sareran Griffith. Actually, no, it's Aslan Shah in the other 44, excuse me. So this is a fight for the podium on right now. Carl Bennett ready to go for a move. This was our pole man who's challenged very well to climb back up and looks to the inside. Is that going to be a move down towards the massive long straights? Yes, it is for Carl Bennett, but is that going to be necessary, knowing that Aslan Shah now is having a sumptuous bit of slipstream down the straights once again? We get a replay here of the overtake made from Carl. Yeah, it was just so much later on the break, so much more confidence from the pole driver, and sometimes that's what you can get from drivers who are outright the quickest out there. Sometimes you can just see the opportunity for the drivers opened up because they're later on the brakes. They have the confidence in there. Whilst they might not have the overall pace, of course, he's had external things happening to himself, which mean that he's dropped down further down the order. But if you qualify on pole, you know that you're going to be a particularly quick driver, and you can see yourself reaping the rewards and reaping the benefits of that. And Bennett just reaping the rewards of that right now to climb within 4 seconds of Zarfan Ramadi in second place, and crucially getting through an Aslan Shah back on to the podium.
You can't take away the fact that Clayton John is closing up. Rakathorn and Ayrton Lowe also in for the fight as well, trying to bring their way into it, and will be looking to move on forward. The fight still is on. Ayrton for the Clubmans, trying to see if he can move up against Rakathorn, the two of them still brawling it out, while Clayton getting a little bit of run, hoping to try and draw in a little bit closer to the likes of Aslan Sai and also Cole Bennett after seeing the fight further up. But it's the 8 of Ayrton Lowe constantly looking around the outside. Rakathorn having to defend and honestly trying to utilize every bit of the circuit, every inch of this track just to hold line. But the more they fight it out, the more that Clayton is starting to open up the distance and really starting to leg it away. Currently 4th in his class, in the overall class, but still in an absolute incredible. Anton Lowe's got to be very careful though. He currently leads out the clubman class, and he takes one mistake. If he goes and fights out against Ruckthorn and has one mistake, you can be sure that Li Heng will be able to close up and usurp that first position away from him in the clubman's class.
He certainly can. That fight is for 7th place overall, and of course, as you say, 1st place in the clubman class. The leader of the Legends Cup at the moment will be Tamron Mahadumrunkul in the 24A. That'll be 9th place for the Singer Cosmo car. 2nd in that class is going to be a decent chunk off, so it's going to be about 21 seconds. And this is where they start to consider, do they want to be fighting in class or fighting overall? I think when you've got gaps between drivers that is so significant like that, you're going to be wanting to fight overall, because you know that you've got drivers around you. For example, the 24 is going to have a driver 4 seconds up the road right ahead, so that's going to be pretty close between them. And then the 2nd place in the Legends class is going to be just 5 tenths ahead, as there's going to be an issue for one of the drivers further back. That's the 66 of Banfoot Wetrikul in the Nectar MK Sports Euphorus Motul HYB by TTR. That will be a shame for them. They're going to drop down the order. They were 4th in class, and they'll remain 4th in class because they are in a class of 4, but I wonder whether they're going to drop any positions down. It will be Tang Hun Jin further back, and you can see the slide on the entry of the corner. That's not ideal, but in the end, actually pretty well saved, and you'd rather slide on the entry of a corner than on the exit of one.
Yep, didn't want to run into the back of the 99 of Chang Chun. And now going and keeping a solid run. It's like a bit of a phoenix to see that car, after having the front left torn apart, is back out onto the circuit. However, fights are still on around the final corner, and it's into the slipstream the drivers need to go. Each trying to push that little bit harder, trying to find that little bit more of a run as they give it everything they can. It is the 44A of Patarut, who's now under some pressure, trying to hold on. Gong Ying Chain holds on for 14th position, but it's going to be late on the anchors for each of these drivers trying to move on forward, trying to give it that last little push for the next 8 minutes. And they're going to have to really dig deep if you want to go and get yourself into the top 10. You need to try to close the distance. You need to stop fighting with one another and concentrate on what you need to do to move up through the order.
Yeah, you need to focus on what you're doing really at this point in the race. We're over a third of the way through now. We've only got 8 minutes left on the clock, so this race has absolutely flown by in the Toyota Gazoo Racing 86 Challenge Thailand. And of course, combining the grid with the Malaysian drivers has made this all the more interesting out there on the circuit. And so we will watch them fighting out there for the remainder of this race. And, well, it will be Vongsapat Katsiri who has managed to make his way to the top. Of course, a championship leader in the Thai series at the moment, and he will be hoping to come home in that lead. Carl Bennett has been the paciest driver of the field, I would say, but the number 9, of course, did not have the greatest of starts. Got a good launch, but then got squeezed out into the first couple of corners, and there's going to be an issue for another driver rolling over the grass at the moment. One of the other drivers further back in the order, and that is going to be a shame. You never like to see a driver come to a stop not of their own volition, and I think that may well just be a problem for them within the car. Whether that's going to be a spin or not remains to be seen. I don't think it was a spin, and actually they look like they may well be getting themselves going again. They're certainly trying to pick themselves back up for the final 7 minutes of this race. Is the 85 of trying to have a look. Actually, I believe that may well be the 95 of Ratakorn. So that's going to be a shame, as fighting high up in the order, up all the way to 6th place, and now is going to be trying to defend that 9th place from Panchawulprip.
Unfortunately, Ratakorn just going a little too far, and unfortunately the car stepping out. I've got to say one thing, the category itself just allowing you to go mix and match these cars. They're all under the same spec. The Toyota 86, you can pretty much go and buy, race anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter where you are, Thailand, Malaysia, South Africa, UK, it doesn't matter where you go. It's absolutely incredible stuff, and also being rather affordable to go and race. It does make them rather fun to get hold of. However, it also does bring into the fact that you've got no major power underneath your right foot. You've got to try and make it work with pure drive skills. We do see the battle of Azlan Sai and Clayton John trying to fight it out. Clayton looking around the outside, trying to get the run through. He's going to have to really lean on it to make it work. And Clayton managing to move up through the order. Aslan slipping down from originally holding on to third place. Now finds himself slipping all the way into fifth place. And Clayton going straight back onto the attack. He wants to try and catch up to Cole Bennett and see if he can really take the fight to the sharp end of the field. On the replay, take a look at this. Just puts the pressure on to the outside, really giving it everything it can. Absolutely committed. A little bit of a moment coming in for Aslan Sai, who just had to try and come off the gas, and unfortunately that's all she needed for Clayton John to go and power away to get a little bit of room out there.
Yeah, every opportunity somebody like Clayton John will make the most of. He's fought his way through this field and has done a good job to sit up right in what is now going to be fourth place, and has managed to make his way through on Aslan Shah, whose race has not been the greatest. Of course, still fifth place is a high expectation for the 44B out there on the circuit, but of course he would have felt as though he could have done a little bit better. Now Nelmez is going to set his sights on Carl Bennett on that podium, and will be about 2 seconds off the back at the start of the lap, but at the end of the lap I think it's going to close in just that little bit more with the fighting that he's been able to do and the position he's been able to gain. Vongsapat will be all the way at the top of the order. Katsiri is going to have a gap of, well, it was 13.5 seconds when they split the beam last time out, and of course they haven't quite crossed the timing beam to decide. That one is a very wide moment there for the 97 of Goeng Chuan, but I'm not sure whether that's going to be recovery for his independent entry into the fight once again with Sorowit Saitang for that 16th place. So we'll be having a look to try to do just that, and may well have the opportunity. In fact, it's going to be in the 13th place with the 16. The slipstream is going to offer itself very, very easily, and this may well be a move that he is going to be looking for down towards the first corner and down through the sweeping S section. Does have a look to go to that outside of the 16, and is going to actually go to the inside of the final corner. So he's going to go a little bit earlier than expected then, side by side between these two drivers. Black and white flags being shown to some other drivers in the grid, and as they cross the beam they are barely able to be split down towards turn one. Then they will continue to duke it out on circuit, continue to fight it out. The gap between those drivers as they cross the beam was 0.13, and that is going to be a very close margin with these lap times reaching up to 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Inside line then is going to beckon for Goeng Chuan, who is going to make his way through and jump up into that 13th place in the end. It took a while to confirm it, but in the end it was a very, very good move indeed. Just kept that pressure on the 16 for as long as he could and managed to jump his way up into 13th with 2 minutes and 38 left on the board.
Still a little bit of time, still a little bit of opportunity to move up through the order. We saw the 77 going through the Ali Imran, going and having a stellar drive out there, but there is the 16. Do not count out Sorowit at the moment. He still has an opportunity to try and draw in closer and see if he can go back onto the attack to hold on for the fight. However, it's going to be a manic drive as we see Padrak trying to move on forward. Elisa going and also having a stellar drive out there. Black and white flag has been handed out to the 11 a little bit earlier as we saw, and that's going to be for Amir Harris Jeffries. That's Aslan Say, who had that 44 car take the victory yesterday. Unfortunately getting looked at by the stewards. 33, however, going and having a great bit of fun out there. Vongsapat going and leading out since getting into the sharp end of the field, has been untouched at the moment and continues to stretch open the gap, nearly 14 seconds at some stages, and really having an absolute stellar run.
Yeah, having an absolutely stellar run, having a great time out there. Is going to be the 33, the best lap of the 2:34.3. It's going to be a very, very strong lap indeed that I don't think anybody else is going to be able to touch, especially at this point in the race when the lap times have slowed down a bit. He's gone down to a 2 minute 34, but still that's going to be a very, very decent lap indeed. In fact, they are just touching the 35s, the majority of the drivers late on in this race. Second place is going to be Zarfan Ramadi as side by side further further up on our screens and further down in the order, but it will be Ramadi who leads the overall class right now, and actually leads the open class right now, and is going to look to take the victory in that class. Aslan Shah second place in there. Ayrton Azim leads his class, sixth place overall. It's the number 8, and Carl Bennett is currently second place in the overall class. He's had a dramatic race where he's been at the top of the order. He was at the top of the order at the start of the race, dropped down, and he's almost had a race that you'd be jealous of, because he's still going to end up on the podium, and he's had plenty of action to get up there. So for himself, it's given him good fun for the number 9, and so he's going to be a little bit aggrieved that he didn't take the race victory, but happy with the recovery and certainly had fun out there.
Yep, and Clayton trying to catch up, holding on to third place in class, but still seeing third place overall just within arm's reach. He's doing everything he can, but as we head down to the wire, it's now time for the leader to go for the checkered flag, the 33, going from start to finish to really go and fight it out. First in class, first overall, and what a drive for Vung Saprat here at Sepang.
What a drive it has been for our championship leader in the Thai 86 Challenge. It has been a very, very good race indeed from him, and he'll be very happy with the performance, and with 1 lap to go, he'll be over the moon with the way that this race has gone. Just controlled the pace from the very start. Of course, did not start right up the very top of the order, but worked his way up there very, very quickly. Indeed did the 33, so a good performance from the 86. Of course, all of the drivers are racing 86 is here today, but he's managed to wrangle his the best of everybody. On to the final lap now for Vung Saprat, and yeah, he looks like he's going to go on to take the victory with a relative ease. Second place is going to be Zarfan Ramadi, who's done a decent job as well. Will take that white flag to head on to the final lap, and Carl Bennett will do the same thing in that third place, and then we'll see Aslan Shah come through in fourth. Clayton John Nelmes going through in fifth, and he will be just ahead of Ayrton Lowe, who currently leads his class. Late on in this race, has managed to gain up places, as Ratakorn, of course, did have issues earlier on in the race. But yeah, Vung Sapang-Katsiri, a fantastic performance indeed from him, and he'll be happy to take this one home. Leader and the only driver in the Ladies' Cup here today, Elisa Kukwayang, will be happy with 16th place. Has had a couple of races out there on the circuit as well with other drivers, so happy with that one overall. Looks like we're going to get to the end, Stephen, with 24 drivers out there on what is near enough to the lead lap.
That's it. It was Tan Hun Zin who landed up in the 93, pointed the wrong way around. Just seeing the 33 come past him, was able to try and get himself up and going. But Vung Saprat, from a stellar run, had to earn that first place spot into turn 1, but since then managed to shake up the entirety of the field. Zarfan Ramadi managing to hold on to second place, first in class, will be happy on the effort despite everything. What a stellar drive. And we do see the 24 coming around. That would be the 24A of Tamarong, who's currently first in his class in the Legends Cup, and really making a monster of an effort out there to go and lead it out. I've got to also give a hands up to the 66 of Banfot Yukatrol, who managed to get his car back out onto the circuit, especially after yesterday being a DNF. A finish here in 21st position, 4th in class. Well, that's at least some points you're taking home instead of a DNF.
Yeah, you want to pick up any points you can, really, at any point, and yeah, you want to be able to come to the line, and we will be seeing our first driver come to the line in just a couple of moments' time. It has been an absolutely dominant performance from the number 33 of Vung Sapang-Katsiri, who led away from the start. Carl Bennett did take the pole, but through the first couple of corners and through the early skirmishes, it was Vung Sapang who just really took that opportunity and climbed up. From then, he's been impenetrable. That gap has just kept growing and growing and growing, and for the 33, for Katsiri, it is victory here in race 2 of the Toyota 86 Challenge here at Sepang, and what a performance he's put in throughout the course of this race to get that one done and take himself to the checkered flag in style. There's 14.7 seconds ahead of second place, who is going to come to the line, and it will be Zarfan Ramadi. in the Artivo Motorsport, who takes the victory in the open class, and that will be what he wants. We have also had our victor in the clubman class come to the line. That's Ayrton Lowe, Ayrton Mohammed Azim in the number 8, who has come to that line, will take the victory there. Then at the 24 around the final corner, that'll be the victory in the Legends Cup for Tamron Mahadumronkel, and the Singer Cosmo 24A will be happy with that one, as well as he came home in what is going to end up being 8th overall. Then we've got one more victor to come to the line, and it will be Elisa Kunkwayang in the Ladies Cup, and we've still got a few more podium sitters. The top 11 have come to the line now, but for Vongsapat Katsiri, it is a perfect storm here today in the 13 laps of Sepang, and has been able to come out on top after 33 minutes and 31 seconds. Our race victor here today, and well, I mean, all I'll say is I backed him at the start of the race.
Yep, you did that, and especially to capture a win for round 3 of the championship. Well, it's going to be a great one for the 33. A big smile on the face, and we do see one, unfortunately, coming to a stop. That's the 93 yet again. Tan Hong Zin landing up, pointing in the wrong direction, and eventually having to see what goes on. But as we wrap it all up, it's going to be a big one. 2 more rounds left on the calendar as they head back to Sepang on the 18th, and then they've got Chang International Circuit on the 6th of November. It's going to be an interesting fight out for the championship, but can Vongsapat make it a full 2026 victory to go and walk away with the championship? Well, all eyes are going to be on that 33 car till the very end. And got to give it up to Carl Bennett after fighting his way back up through the field, after getting pushed all the way down to 7th at one stage of the game. That number 9 managed to grab the final step on the podium behind Zafran Ramadi in 3rd place overall.
Yeah, Vongsapat Katsiri has not seen a race off of the podium. 4 podiums, 3 victories being in them, and that is going to be exactly what he is going to want to see, and that will be his race victory. And well, Clayton Nelmes taking a decent chunk of points for himself as well. Carl Bennett will be happy with the performance that he's put in today as well, and happy with the performance he's put in here in Sepang. He's going to take that one home now, but it will be Vongsapat Katsiri first, and Carl Bennett, of course, 2nd place, actually came to the end in that spot. The winner in the Legends class, Tamrong Mahadumronkel. 2nd place, Prutirat, and 3rd place will be down there as well in the 4-car strong class. And then in the clubmen, it'll be Ayrton Mohammed Azim, Ayrton Lowe, and then Go Lee Heng even, and Ali Imran to round out the order there. And then, of course, we've got our Ladies Cup as well. Elisa taking the victory there, but the victor in the open class was Zarfan Ramadi, who took 2nd place overall, and we'll be seeing on the podium in a few moments' time as they roll up to the winner, the 2nd and the 3rd place spot. And actually, 3rd place has come to the line before 2nd has Zarfan Ramadi, just drinking in the celebrations out there, and he'll be happy with the way that race has gone. It was a pretty decent race for him as well, not quite able to keep up with the championship leader, but that is why he is just that. Victory taken for Katsiri, and he will be over the moon with the performance he's put in today, and he will be putting it all out there, the final remaining energy that he's got now that the Toyota 86ers are done for this round of the season. He'll be putting all of his energy into the podium celebrations.
Taking a look at Carl Bennett after feeling a little bit of pain. They're having to move the front fender just to get the door to release, and that can tell you how the fight out on circuit. A little bit of sharing paint, a little bit of close calls, but every driver walking away with a bit of a smile on their face because they've accomplished quite a feat here at Sepang. Zafran Ramadi going and having a stellar run. Will be happy on his one. Quite an interesting race to see these drivers really fight it out, but it's Vongsapat who took the victory. Zafran Ramadi in 2nd, Carl Bennett takes on 3rd. Clayton finds himself in 4th, rounding out to top 5 is Aslan, who fought tooth and nail. Ayrton, followed by Go Lee Heng, going and fighting a little bit further down, and our top 10 going and putting on a stellar show.
Yeah, doing a good job in the top 10 there, and well, we've got our 11th down to 20th there, and of course 29 drivers in this field. I think we had 27 take to the track. Indeed we did, and 24 take it to the line to finish off, and then we get our each individual classes. Ayrton Mohammed Azim, Ayrton Lowe taking the victory in the clubman, and the legends also in there. So Tamrong taking the win in that class, as well as they've mixed those standings up. So just to keep us on our toes here, Stephen. But yeah, and then we're going to get the overall victory, which is of course Longsapat Katsiri, and we will see what they will do. We will see if we get any interviews as well, and whether they're going to be in our native language of English or their native language of Thai, because of course they are racing in the Thailand Super Series. So either could be expected. But yeah, we'll just see what will happen in a few moments' time. Alyssa Kungwayang taking the victory in the Ladies' Cup as well, and was decently in the mid-pack and had a pretty good fight from what we saw. At least had some pretty consistent fighting out there on the circuit with some other drivers. So that is going to be exactly what you want at the end of the day. Whilst you've easily taken the victory in your class because you're the only driver in your class, you can still have fights with drivers in other classes, and it just makes it a whole load of fun. The open class, of course, won by Zurfan Ramadi, and we'll be happy with that one. We're going to go through the highlights of this race, and heading down towards turn one, you can of course see Carl Bennett on the inside. It wasn't the start that he would have wanted. It was the launch initially that he wanted to pick up a bit of grass taken as well, and then that was the shunt that ended or brought out even our first DNF of the race, and luckily did not harm proceedings in any way, shape or form. And then a slide that was, whilst they were still trying to recover that one car, they also had the second car having that slide as well. So we're surprised that we didn't see full course yellows, but they were both off in salvageable places, so it's all okay. Really hard fighting between these three drivers. Saw somebody going off right there, and yeah, it was just, they were pushing each other to the very limits of this Sepang circuit in the 66 with the slide into the corner. And as I said at the time, you'd rather have a slide into the corner than on the exit. This is a view of what happened to, well, we saw that car beached onto the curbing for a while, and then were able to get themselves going. That was what caused that, and then a move down the inside for the 16 to try to climb up that position. Did so in the end, gained the place down towards turn number one. Carl Bennett, our second place driver, and the 24, and the 33, of course, our race leader. Or that was in fact our third place, but second place in class was Carl Bennett, but the victory taken by the 33. And yeah, it was very, very well raced indeed, and he'll be happy with that one. All of the drivers will be happy with their performances. I think Ramadi is one that kind of went under the radar there, because kind of operated, he wasn't miles ahead of everybody else. He wasn't in the fights, but he kept that pace consistent and picked up that silver medal.
Well, that's it. Just got to keep consistent the whole way through, keeping out of trouble, but some phenomenal stuff. And we can't wait to see what the rest of the day is going to look like, as it's going to be an incredible race.
It certainly will be. We'll see whether we're going to see whether we are going to be getting any interviews. I don't think we will, but we will be back with racing action for you in English, because there's of course a couple of different language options, but we'll be back with you in 2 hours here at the Sepang International Circuit. My name's been Joseph Black, it's been Stephen Koenig alongside me, and it's been Jay Kennedy behind the cameras. Thank you very much to everybody for watching race 4 of the Toyota 86 series, and well, until next time, it is goodbye.